Well, it's no secret Hispanic voters helped deliver Trump's 2024 victory. But will he follow through on his promises? That's where my next guest comes into play. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by Alejandro Ramos. He examines where the Trump administration is delivering and where it's falling short. I should mention Mr. Ramos is a Master of Public Administration candidate at Cornell University and Executive Director of the Ramos Research Institute. He is also a Young Voices contributor and yet again kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about this. It's a pretty big deal, and a lot of folks have been speculating as to what the response would be thus far, and I'm talking about with Hispanic voters. As you heard me just state, a number of Hispanics turned out and showed up in a major way to vote for the president. I'm curious, your take on what you have seen thus far with regard to how Hispanics are being treated.
So listen, I think that there were three major reasons why Hispanics voted for Trump in this election. The first being economic concerns, the second being immigration, and the third being education. And these were three different areas where the president campaigned on during campaign season. And I think he's falling short slightly in some of these areas. I think it's important to note that he's continuously gained support from the community. In 2016, he was at 28%. In 2020, he was at 32, and in the most recent election, he gained 46% of the Hispanic vote, and that's the largest that any Republican has ever seen, the second largest being Bush in 2004 at 40%. But I think that with the economic concerns that this community has, they backed him for his pro-business stance, his low tax policies, but the inflation and wage stagnation really are creating some economic anxiety within this community. A lot of members come to this country and want to start businesses, and they want to be productive members of society, so they're seeing an issue there. Firstly. Then when we look at immigration on the campaign trail, the big thing was we're going to deport criminals, right? People that are doing the wrong thing. And now members of this community are seeing their friends and family that are hard workers, have paid their taxes, might own a small business being deported back to their country. So I think that there's concerns there. And in terms of the immigration system, I think that it's important to know that Hispanics do want there to be border security. They want a safe country. But at the same time, I think that there's the understanding that the entire immigration system really needs to be reformed since, there hasn't really been any real change recently. So I think looking at those aspects, the president is able to deliver on his promises, but he's falling short at the moment.
I can tell you right here in the D.C. region, there have been a plethora of rallies with regard to a number of Hispanics coming together in saying that, in essence, they are upset and fed up with regard to the number of Hispanics currently being deported. At what point do you think some would, in essence, jump ship and or have an about face, have a change of heart, if you will, with regard to supporting President Trump?
Well, I think that if they continue the federal government continues going on the path of mass deportations by just rounding up people and not people that are criminals, as was promised, I think that will be a major roadblock. I think that if the economy were to take, a downspin much worse than it is at the moment, just like I think for many Americans, that would cause him to lose support within this group. And I think that on the education component, if he's not able to sort of sway the conversation at the state level for school choice, I think that will also be a potential breaking point for the Hispanic community.
One of the things that you also touched on happened to be the GOP's challenge. And boy, we all know challenges can be somewhat challenging, if you will. In this case, we're talking about winning loyalty beyond the election season. You just addressed it, but yet again, this is something that we will continue to see at least throughout the next 3 to 4 years.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that regardless of party, the Hispanic vote, just like other minority groups, are only talked to or only focused on every 4 years. And I think that the president did a really good job at targeting these individuals during the election season and prior to election season. So I think that if the GOP has any desire to want to keep the Hispanic voting bloc, even though it's not a monolith within their umbrella, it's going to be a sustained effort that they're going to have. We're going to have to really focus on caring about this community throughout the 4 years and not just when it's election season.
You recently penned an op-ed, if you will, surrounding Trump's Hispanic outreach. The biggest takeaway from this?
Well, I think that the biggest takeaway doing research in this area, because it's not only the op-ed, but other components that I do as well, is that Hispanics are fed up with the Democrats. You know, a survey that I conducted has 41% of Hispanics that align with the Democratic Party feeling that they are taken for granted by that party. So I think that the GOP needs to capitalize on that to be able to really make an effort to be successful in the future and make inroads with this group. I think that they have the potential of reaching far beyond 50%, in upcoming elections. But again, it's being able to focus on the long-term goal and not just on the electoral victory year to year.
And yet again, folks that want to feast their eyes on the op-ed, how would one go about to do so?
It's posted online. And they're able to look at it through there and through Young Voices, with me being a contributor of that organization.
Very good, sir. Truly appreciate your time. Yet again, we have been speaking with Alejandro Ramos, where he examines the administration's delivering and where they are falling short. Truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Guy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.